The Premier League has an Arsenal problem, and it's not the defense. It's the attack. Ruthless, relentless, and about to get even scarier. The question is, who's stopping them? Are they finally ready to win it all? Well, let's talk about it. Let me take you back to the FA Cup third round last season. Manchester United versus Arsenal at Old Trafford. On paper, this was Arsenal's game to win. United were weak, inconsistent, and not even playing their best football. But somehow they struck first. Bruno Fernandes scored after a sharp pass from Garnacho, 1-0 to United, and for a moment it felt like Arsenal might stumble again in a big game. But then the game shifted. The gods of football stepped in. United went down to 10 men. A red card that left them with one man less, and at that point, everyone thought Arsenal would crush them. An 11-man Arsenal against a 10-man United? This should have been a statement win. But what happened next revealed everything wrong with Arsenal's attack. Gabriel Magalhaes eventually got the equaliser. Arsenal back on level. Then another gift, a penalty. Ødegaard stepped up, missed. Still, plenty of time on the clock. Surely Arsenal would finish the job. But no. Ødegaard picks out Declan Rice with a beautiful lofted ball, and Rice heads it straight into the hands of Bayindir. Then another Ødegaard pass, this time to Havertz, one-on-one, and he fluffs it. Another chance wasted. Minutes later, Rice finds himself in space, cuts in from the left and takes the shot wide. Then Havertz again, a free header straight to the goalkeeper. The game ends 1-1, it goes to penalty. Arsenal's attack lets them down again. Havertz misses his penalty, and United, playing with 10 men, qualify. That game didn't just knock Arsenal out of the FA Cup, it showed why they struggled all season. A good team, but when it's time to finish, they freeze. It's not just bad luck, it's about a frontline that lacks that killer instinct when it matters most. And if you think that was the only problem, think again. The attack was fragile all season, not just in form, but physically too. Saka missed games. Havertz missed most parts of the second half of the season, and Jesus wasn't fully fit. Without a reliable attack, even the best defense can't save you, and that's why Arsenal ended the season with 14 draws. That's not a number that wins you titles. For context, Liverpool only drew 9 games. That's a 4-game difference, and in a title race, that's everything. But Arteta saw this, he's not blind to it. And this summer, he's building an attack that doesn't just create, it finishes, it destroys, it wins. But before we talk about that, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you, and now back to the attack. Let's start with the right wing, because that's where Arsenal's engine is. Bukayo Saka. Even with injuries last season, this guy still delivered over 25 goal contributions. That tells you the level we're talking about here. But what makes Saka special isn't just the numbers, it's his consistency, his decision-making, and his ability to carry the team in difficult moments. Every season he refines his game. Sharper dribbling, better timing with his runs, more composure in front of goal. He's not just a winger anymore, he's a complete wide forward. But Arsenal learned the hard way last season. Without Saka, the team's right side collapses. There's no threat, no directness, no creativity. That vulnerability cost them points, and that's why Arteta made an important decision. Bring in backup. Not just any backup, someone who can replicate the threat if Saka isn't there. His name is Noni Madueke. Now, nobody's saying Madueke is on Saka's level, because he's not. But as a backup, as a rotation option, Madueke is miles ahead of what Arsenal currently have. He's quick, aggressive, and can take on defenders. Most importantly, he brings that unpredictability Arsenal lack when Saka isn't on the pitch. This is the depth Arsenal have been missing. If Saka is injured or needs rest, Arteta can now turn to Madueke and the system keeps ticking. The right side remains dangerous, and the balance of the team remains intact. That's the kind of squad building that wins titles, covering your most important positions with reliable alternatives. And that's just the right wing. The left side? That's where things are even more complicated, and where Arsenal might be cooking up something even bigger. Because if there's any position that needs urgent improvement, it's this one. Gabriel Martinelli is a talented player, no doubt. But last season, he was nowhere near good enough. 51 appearances, and he could only manage 10 goals and 6 assists. For a player who's supposed to be a consistent threat on the wing, that's underwhelming. And if we're being honest, his overall play showed that drop in form. His dribbling wasn't as sharp, his decisions in the final third were predictable, and he lacked that cutting edge that defines title-winning forwards. When Martinelli isn't firing, Arsenal become one-sided. The right side with Saka keeps working, but the left, it fades. And that imbalance was a problem all season. Arsenal had Trossard as an option, and while he's been useful off the bench, he's not a long-term solution. He's 30, approaching that phase where pace and sharpness start to decline. There are even talks he might be sold. And if that happens, Arsenal will have no reliable alternative on the left, unless they fix it in this window. That's where Emirates Eze comes in. Arsenal is actively pursuing him, and honestly, it makes perfect sense. Eze is a completely different profile to Martinelli. He brings flair, creativity, and the ability to create from deeper positions, something Martinelli just doesn't have. Eze can glide past players, break defensive lines with dribbles, and link up with midfielders effortlessly. His composure on the ball is elite, and unlike Martinelli, he doesn't just run into space, he creates it. If Arsenal get Eze, he's not going to sit on the bench. He's coming to compete. And genuinely, he could push Martinelli out of the starting 11 if Martinelli doesn't raise his game. That's what competition does. It forces players to improve or step aside, and Arsenal need that on the left. More importantly, having someone like Eze on the wing gives Arteta tactical flexibility. He can invert, play centrally if needed, and combine with the number 10. That adds a whole new layer to Arsenal's attack. And speaking of the number 10, that's the next piece of this puzzle. The heart of creativity is in this team. Arsenal has Martin Odegaard running that position, and for good reason. His passing, his vision, his ability to dictate the rhythm of the game, it's world class. He's the type of player who makes things look effortless when everything is flowing. And let's not forget his leadership. He's the captain for a reason. But if we're being honest, there are still issues he needs to address. His reluctance to shoot in key moments is a real problem. There were too many games last season where Odegaard got into great positions, but chose to pass instead of pulling the trigger. In tight games, when that one shot can make the difference, he holds back. And that hesitation has cost Arsenal points. Then there's the big game inconsistency. Odegaard can control matches against mid-table sides, but in the high-pressure games, the matches that define seasons, he still struggles to impose himself consistently. That has to change if Arsenal wants to dominate on all fronts. But that's where depth comes in. Arteta has Kai Havertz as another option in that number 10 role. Now, Havertz gets a lot of criticism, and some of it is fair. But playing him behind a proper striker changes the dynamics. His movement between the lines, his link-up play, and his aerial threat adds something different. With someone like Gyökeres ahead of him, Havertz could thrive, because then he's not asked to be the finisher, but the connector. And then there's the wild card, Ethan Nwaneri. He's the academy product everyone's watching. Still young, still raw, but his technical ability, composure, and vision are beyond his years. If there's one player who could surprise everyone and break into that role this season, it's Nwaneri. The kid has the talent. It's now about whether Arteta gives him the minutes to develop on the big stage. So Arsenal aren't short on options in the number 10. Odegaard remains the main man. Havertz brings variety, and Nwaneri is the emerging talent. But having creativity behind the striker is only one part of the equation. The real question is, who's leading the line? Because that's where Arsenal have lacked real firepower for years. And this season, Arteta is finally addressing it. This has been Arsenal's biggest weakness for years. Since the days of prime Aubameyang, the club hasn't had a true number 9 who can consistently score goals at an elite level. Instead, Arteta had to improvise, rotating between Havertz, Marino, and sometimes even Trossard in that role. But none of them are natural strikers. None of them bring that presence, that authority in the box that top teams rely on. But this season, that's changing. Arsenal are moving for Victor Gyökeres, and this is exactly the kind of forward Arteta's system needs. Gyökeres is not just a goal scorer, he's a complete forward. Physically dominant, aggressive in pressing, and ruthless in front of goal. As Sporting, he's delivered over 65 goal contributions in just 60 games. That's elite production. He doesn't need many chances to score, and he's capable of creating goals by himself through sheer determination and movement. And that's a game changer for Arsenal. How many times last season did we see the team create chances but have no one in the box with the instinct to finish them off? Gyökeres solves that problem. He's the kind of striker who occupies defenders, opens up space for others, and most importantly, he finishes. Then there's depth. Gabriel Jesus is still here. Yes, injuries have plagued his time at Arsenal, but when fit he offers something different. Flair, unpredictability, the ability to drop deep and link play. He may not be the 20-goal-a-season striker, but as a backup or rotation option, that's a luxury most teams don't have. And let's not forget Havertz. If Arteta wants to go with two up top, pairing Gyökeres with Havertz creates a physical and technical combination that's hard to defend against. Havertz brings the aerial threat, smart movement, and can play off Gyökeres' hold-up play. That pairing would give Arsenal a completely new attacking dynamic, especially in games where one striker just isn't enough. For the first time in a long while, Arsenal aren't just filling the striker position, they're owning it. They're going into the season with a proper number 9, depth behind him, and tactical flexibility to adapt to different opponents. But it doesn't end there. Arteta isn't just building a basic front four. He's constructing a front line that can create, destroy, and win. And the most dangerous part of it? The versatility. Now, when you step back and look at the big picture, it's clear that Arteta hasn't just built an attack. He's building an arsenal of weapons. This isn't just about having starters and backups anymore. This is about having a front four that can create, destroy, and finish, and do it in a variety of ways. For the first time under Arteta, Arsenal have options that are not just replacements, but genuine solutions. On the wings, you have Saka, Martinelli, Madueke, and potentially Eze, all bringing different strengths. Whether it's direct dribbling, creativity from deeper positions, or pure pace, there's a tool for every situation. You want control and technical quality. Eze gives you that. You want raw speed and width. Martinelli is there. Saka remains the ever-reliable right-wing force, and with Madueke behind him, the threat doesn't disappear when he's off the pitch. In the number 10 role, you've got Odegaard, Havertz, and the rising Ethan Nwaneri. That means whether Arsenal want composure and vision, physical presence and movement, or youthful energy and predictability, they have the personnel to execute it. There's no more over-reliance on one player to unlock defenses. There's variety, there's depth, and there's competition for places. And up front, the arrival of Gyökeres changes everything. A complete striker who brings presence, power, and finishing. Add Jesus as a backup and Havertz as an auxiliary option, and you've got a strike force that can adapt to different opponents, styles, and situations. One striker, two strikers, false nines. Arteta can play them all. But here's the most important part. Versatility. Every player in this system can shift across roles. Saka can play wide and come inside. Eze, if he joins, can play left wing or centrally. Havertz can drop into midfield or push forward. Even Gyökeres isn't just a poacher. He can create space for others, drag defenders out of position, and link up play. That's the kind of system that doesn't just win games, it wins trophies. It allows a team to compete across competitions without burning out, without collapsing when injuries hit. Last season, Arsenal's attack was the weakness that held them back. It was the flaw that stopped them from turning draws into wins and progress into silverware. But this season, it might just be the very thing that takes them all the way. Arteta is building an attack designed not just to compete, but to dominate. And if it clicks the way he's planning, the Premier League might just have to find a new way to stop Arsenal, because this version won't be wasting chances anymore. But what do you think? Will Arsenal win the league next season after coming close a lot of times? Well, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out our last video on how Arteta is copying the Pep treble team. It's a good watch. Thank you.